Hi there, I'm Sara Sheehan, and welcome to my podcast, Transformational Thinkers with Sara Sheehan. Today I'm joined by Nicole Hilgenkamp. She is a digital transformation leader with the world's largest companies, where she leads enterprise-scale AI and digital transformation across global operations. She is also the founder of AIboration, an AI consulting firm helping businesses implement generative AI to enhance performance, simplify processes, and drive sustainable growth. With over 30 years of experience in operational excellence and innovation, Nicole offers a practical, people-focused approach to successful AI adoption at scale. I am so excited to have you here with me today. Nicole, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sarah. Happy to be here. I'm excited to talk about artificial intelligence. It's changing every single day. And so as soon as we hit pause on the recording, what we're going to talk about will probably be obsolete, but let's see if your listeners can take away some key aspects from today.
Absolutely. What is so interesting about you, Nicole, is I have not come across a chief AI officer or AI consultant yet. So you are truly one of a kind. And I really, really want to dive into this conversation as deep and possible.
Absolutely. And welcome to Jobs of the Future. The Chief AI Officer, you're seeing lots of new titles in executive leadership over the years, like Chief Growth Officer, Chief Change Agent, etc. And Chief AI Officer is a recognition that artificial intelligence does not necessarily need to sit in IT, in information technology. It is a technology, yes, one of the biggest revolutions of my time that I think I'll ever see, but it is and should be used across enterprises in personal and professional growth. And so, what I love about Chief AI Officer as a job of the future is that it just goes to show you that this isn't going to necessarily fit well if you put it under Chief Technology Officer. Mm-hmm. And it shouldn't be there. It should be a job of its own because of its vast disruption that it's going to make in how we do business and live our life.
And so it's truly cross-functional.
Absolutely cross-functional.
Truly cross-functional. And so it needs to be in its own function.
Exactly. And that's why I think you saw the creation of this job is that it's been recognized as not a CTO event. It is actually across the entire business.
Excellent. That's a great distinction to make. So talk with me, Nicole, a little bit about how AI is revolutionizing work, the workplace, and business decision making. What are you seeing?
Yeah, lots of different aspects. Okay. So everyone's going to assimilate more so with automation. Absolutely. Absolutely automation. What people need to start to think about is how do we leverage artificial intelligence to be our strategic partner? And how do we leverage artificial intelligence to help drive change and influence individuals? There's a great book out there called The AI Driven Leader by Jeff Woods. And he talks about going into a boardroom with artificial intelligence where they ingested all of the different personality types of the board members. And then what they did is they shared the deck that they would have normally presented in their board, in their board meeting for that quarter. And they said, what is the board going to ask about? And, those decks can get pretty long. Mm-hmm. And based on the board's members' personalities that they ingested, that ended up being that CEO's best board meeting that they've ever had because he was prepared some of the questions and the blind spots that he didn't necessarily recognize or prepare for in his own slide deck. And so that's just a great way to say, hey, how can we look to better influence based on personality type, based on being interviewed or role playing with artificial intelligence, so that we can make faster decision makings and make change happen a little bit faster than what it is happening today.
That is fascinating. And so the AI driven leader, that's the book. That's fascinating. I'm definitely going to be picking that up for certain. What are some practical ways that leaders can harness AI to enhance communication and creativity?
Absolutely. Again, as I stated in the beginning of the podcast, is that this is cross-functional, meaning we hope that CEOs don't just hand this over to the CTO if they don't create a chief AI officer and recognize the importance of doing so. And if they recognize the importance of that at all levels of their organization, then at every level of their organization, this is newer in the past 3 years, the boom of AI. It's been here for long before that, but it's really now getting normalized to where people can assimilate to it. So now that they can assimilate to it, I ask that everyone really get involved in at least one newsletter that kind of keeps you abreast of what happens every single day, but not to let it overwhelm you. Two, to join a community, because everyone needs to enable themselves and everyone needs to start somewhere and they will grow from there. And then three is get involved in experimentation and learning. And everyone's going to take it a bit different and everyone's going to utilize it for different use cases. And so my practical advice is, depending on where you are, beginner, intermediate, novice, advanced, there's somewhere you can continue to go, because this is evolving so fast and you'll need to do so to stay on the coattails of it, so that you don't find yourself, your company, your business growth, your time, in the rear mirror.
And so you gave some good examples there of things that people can do. Do you have recommended thought leaders that you, for example, I love their AI newsletter, or I love this AI community, or by the way, my favorite place to do experiential things is X?
Oh yes. So I love a lot of different things, and at the end we'll talk about my LinkedIn profile that anyone can go in. And I immerse myself in a lot of communities that you'll see out there around females in AI. But there are a lot of great newsletters, and that you don't have to look far. You have to find one that works for you. I love the Neutron is one, and I can share these to our listeners. Some of these links is the one that I assimilate to. Just like when it comes to large language models, everyone kind of starts with one and may stay with that one or move to another. And I'm a big Perplexity girl. I love Perplexity as the large language model that I use. But that is the newsletter that I like. Microsoft is doing a lot of great communication around training individuals, and there's a lot of free training out there. I also suggest people get involved in cybersecurity and kind of really learning about that, because that's going to come right along with AI. You're going to want to know a little bit about how to protect yourself, your company, etc. And those are great skills to have. And there's some free training that they're offering in that space. So you don't have to look hard to find it, and you can utilize AI to help you, quite frankly.
Okay.
AI, what are some of the best free learning that I can do? What are some of the best newsletters for my type of business or position?
That's a great idea. Make your own prompt and see what comes back for the best newsletter, the best community, the best place to learn. That's very practical and timely, and that's something that everyone can go do right away.
Yeah, and it's
Right
a great
after.
point, because we forgot about it. And Sarah, I know you use AI every day, as do I, right? But we it's about making a habit. And habits are hard to form and they take, 7 times, 21 days, et cetera. And so if you're not doing that, then it's not going to become a habit. And then it doesn't become as easily thought of as ask AI, ask AI. But once it
That's
does,
right.
then, then the flywheel begins.
That's right. That's a great image to leave with our listeners. Just get out there and start practicing and using the skill, and you'll start to refine it even more. Nicole, what are some of the mindset shifts that are necessary to use AI and successfully lead change in a rapidly evolving landscape?
Yeah, I think and a lot of personal growth comes when people are self aware. So when I'm a leader and I manage a lot of performance, and when I have someone that I make self aware, if they're already not, with something that they're doing that could be improved upon, then and they accept that feedback, they're going to be one of the successful people that continue to grow and work themselves out of whatever performance concern that there is. The people that have a performance concern that are not self-aware and do not accept feedback are the people that are going to not be successful. So what
Mm-hmm.
I love about AI is to utilize it to become a little bit more self-aware. And I'm going to give you a couple examples as you use a large language model, and I would say anywhere from at least 3 to 6 months, it will begin to understand your personality, your how you think a little bit, et cetera, because you're the one asking questions, how you ask
Mm-hmm.
those questions, et cetera. And so after utilizing a large language model for 3 to 6 months, ask the AI what they think of you. Say, hey, you've gotten to know me.
Mm.
What is it? What do you feel that what is the perception I give? What do you foresee that? And there's some really great prompts out there that kind of drive into that. And then it right in front of your screen, like I was blown away, mic drop. I had to like digest, take a night, and think about the feedback that I got from my AI.
Really?
Um, it was groundbreaking. Like no, there is no boss out there that is going to be as thorough as the type of feedback I got from my AI after I worked with my AI for 6 months, feeding its prompts and questions and the types of things that was asking it about. Yeah, it was great for me because then I'm like, oh, now I know where my kind of my blind spots are, and then I can grow right from that, from learning of that. Now, the other fun thing I love to suggest is that for personal growth, but then I like to ask the AI to be my drunk best friend and tell me what they think of me, whole different perspective. And you know that the most candid and honest conversation is going to come from your drunk best friend. So another
Interesting.
way that, and when you're then self-aware. So my big point is really understanding where you are in the change curve, where you are that you need to take it a little bit further, and the people that you're trying to influence of their change. And if you kind of know where to meet them, then you'll know where to move the change needle, because
Mm-hmm.
everyone's always at a different place, always at a different place. So if you're really looking to make those changes, let AI help you kind of find where that needle is and help everyone move a little bit further. The other thing that AI does in change management that I absolutely love is I used to be on change champion calls where every week we get together and we try to pull together all of our water cooler feedback and rumors that we had
Mm-hmm.
heard about what was happening at the time.
Sure.
You now can use AI to kind of start to monitor. You could put some monitors in place where it's pulling right off the web, the usage. It's pulling the feedback. Well, you could put little stars, yes, no, da da da, and you can have that more dynamic and real time. And how much, how great is that to be able to adjust 10 times faster than you ever were?
That's so interesting. That's an interesting application. I'm thinking in listening to you, you could use Copilot if you're using Copilot now to not only look at all your meeting notes, but go look at Teams chats and a lot of other things, emails.
All that. And then what it does is it says, hey, whoa, you kind of have an issue cropping up here with Susie Joe,
Uh
because
huh.
I can feel the resistance in the type,
Right.
how she's asking the question, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which we're not going to go through every single email and try and figure that out, but AI would be able to spot that blind spot in a second.
Sure.
And what am I going to do next as a leader? I'm going to call Sally Joe and I'm going to say, hey, let's talk about how you're feeling.
Sure. Sure. I have been actively using AI in my real plans with clients where it manifests literally in line items in the communication plan, so that a leader conveys a message in a presentation. We're using a note taker in that meeting, no matter what it is, whatever the client uses. We're able to create notes and we're able to actually write a message based on that presentation recording that then goes out as an email. You know what I'm saying? So it creates actual communications for the plan that a human doesn't have to do.
Absolutely. And again, that's a 10x than what we used to work on. And you're just doing that for actions. You can also do that against, like we were talking about, feelings.
Sure. Yes,
Those
absolutely.
transcripts are power. And again, AI can pick up on that transcript and it can provide multiple use cases, actions, emotions, blind spots, etc.
That's very powerful. I think there are going to be more ways to incorporate it practically in plans that will reveal itself over time as more unique and interesting software platforms come out that are AI powered or enabled. I think it's going to be really fascinating to see. Anything like using a Mentimeter to get sentiment when you're able to actually post results on that and you're able to include it in a prompt across different inputs, possibly your change readiness survey data. That's where it really gets very interesting and compelling.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And, I think we, always will be a proponent of human in the loop. We always
Totally.
want, absolutely.
Yes.
I want people to really understand that. And Sarah, you and I are talking so eloquently about how we use it today, but there's a lot of people that just haven't even dipped their toe in the water that are just really fearful of it. And I would, like you said, kind of get immersed and start playing. Just start, and then people will start to be more comfortable with it. They'll start to understand the parameters that they personally need to put in around their data, their personal data, their customer data, the bias that happens in artificial intelligence. And if they don't do that, what's the cost of doing nothing? Okay. And that's
Oh man, the cost of doing nothing is huge right now because if you're not learning how to use it, you will, I think, get left behind.
absolutely, and that's super concerning. I mean, just look at the U.S. job market of the past 3 months has taken a complete turn, and so many displaced individuals that, especially like the federal workers that weren't really necessarily, continuing to evolve and grow themselves, are now finding themselves without the skills to be able to go into other workplaces and industries. And that's where it is so important for all of us, every single person out there, to start to understand this, because it will actually impact your livelihood if not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think for the younger generations, the actual roles that they can aspire to in the workplace, they're going to change.
Everything's going to change. The education, how we educate those individuals, is going to change. And so that's why I just want everyone to be hyper cognizant of where they are going to start to participate.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean for them? Because there's so many things to consider. And even, I have a daughter about to enter college, and I'm like, is she going to pay for 4 years of tuition in a role that's not going to be here in 4 years? And that's a real
It's huge
reality.
concern. Huge concern.
I mean, just think of
Huge.
that tuition of 4 years that could be wasted if we don't think about that cognizantly as, is this a knowledge worker position? Because if it is, then we have to start to question ourselves. How do we use, don't get me wrong, how do we then do that knowledge worker industry, but leverage AI with it so that you're ready to go into the workforce with the artificial intelligence expertise. Because everything, fashion, creatives, songwriters, everyone's going to have to bring AI with them as their co-pilot, as their strategic partner.
It's a fascinating, game-changing moment. There's no question about it. What actionable insights can you provide on using AI to empower employees, streamline processes, and future-proof organizations?
Absolutely. What I would tell anyone in an organization or even in a small business, and everyone I'm going to tell you is, they're not telling their bosses that they're using AI. They're doing it. I'm going to tell you, I'm working on a laptop on one side, and I'm working on my company computer on another, because the company doesn't let me in all the places that I want to be in yet.
I understand that totally.
Right. So that's how I work. So it's happening. The practical advice that I will give any business leader or small or owner or founder is to start at the top. Go to the top. Whether you're at the bottom, the middle, the mid management, or you're at the top, then you have a role to play. And that role to play is to tell your organization, hey, I'm in the game with you. I support artificial intelligence. It is what we're going to do to continue to grow. And I want you to know that you can do it in a safe place. And as you do it, and as you free capacity from your role, I have plans for you to if they don't say things like that, then that's where people are going to start still working their little silos and offline and do things that help them do their job, but not too much, because it's the fear of losing their job. And that's where the top has to come in and has to make a statement that says, we want to build capacity, and everything that everyone does, please use AI as much as possible and bring your best practices into our community of our business. And if you do that, you'll be rewarded with learning new skills and investments in being able to build upon your personal growth.
And I support you in doing that. And I'm going to help you progress your career, because you're willing to grow and you're willing to put yourself out on the small branch and try.
Yes. And I think that leaders are missing that. I think they just assume because they bought the software and it's out there on the company's computer that people are going to adopt it. And if they don't give that encouragement and that testimonial, then I think that that's where people are going to, not necessarily scale it as what the CEO would have liked.
I've been on a project where we've used AI in all of our meetings. So we've literally recorded all the meetings and we've used it for meeting notes. And it's, when you have an environment like that, you're going to encourage more people to learn more. When it's just an expectation, and at the beginning of a meeting, you had to give clearance, that the meeting's being recorded and, what it's being used for. You acknowledge it and support it. But that also has each person that's in a meeting every time thinking about, what could I go do with that?
Absolutely. And what a practical advice I'd like to give your listeners is that when you do that and you have everyone kind of bought in and you're recording every meeting and it becomes how you work.
Yes.
You're going to see some talent start to really crop up. You're going to see people making a lot of great connections and moving a little bit faster in adopting and becoming very competent with utilizing AI. And those are the people that you kind of want to bring forward as your change agents. And you want to give them more and more responsibility, because you see that they are talented in this space. They know your business, and now they're assessing how to utilize more AI in your business, and you need to pull them up. You need to pull them up as a super user, as a leader or a manager, because they're going to get super engaged, and that's going to get even more return on investment of what you're going to do to them by, kind of putting them in a promotional state or in a lead position because you see
Mm-hmm.
the talent.
It'll be interesting to see what leaders find when employees at any level start to innovate more using AI, and maybe they come up with a new solution or a product that the team may have never thought of. When you have these super creative opportunities that may 10x their business.
No, right? Because just like you find those people that are really like going to get good at AI, you're going to find that creative, or you're going to find that inventor.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be then your next biggest
Could
thing for
be.
your company.
Mm-hmm.
If you just kind of put that into your incubation and you allow it to happen at your company, because you're going to want to be there to pick up. Because I'm going to tell you, if I was one that found that groundbreaking idea, I'd be like, do I walk out the door with it, or do I give it to this company? And you'll want the trust of those individuals to say, here, look at what I found.
You want them to say that and then say, now, will you help me get a patent on that? And let's talk about how we can operationalize it and take it to market. Super exciting. It's a very exciting time, honestly, for those that are willing to embrace the possibilities.
Exactly.
And so, Nicole, what are you learning now, and why is that important?
Oh yeah. Right now, I mean, the buzzword of this week is agentic AI, and how to leverage. And I just am trying to wrap my head around managing the team that I manage, and knowing that someday that team that I manage will be like four of them will be digital agentic agents.
Agentic agents.
Agentic AI. So they will get trained to be able to make decisions,
Oh my goodness.
and therefore they'll hold a position or a role in the organization to be that decision maker. And that's what we're starting to see crop up. Like, don't get me wrong, we've had automation and it can do things faster, et cetera. But as it starts to do more and more and more, it then starts to learn to be able to be your customer service rep. Like, I just got off a call. It learns to be you'll have an agent that is your customer service rep. You'll have an agent that is your sales rep. You'll have an agent taking your phone calls that come into the company and responding as they're talking to an individual. So that's what I'm going to get my head wrapped around, because that's where artificial intelligence is going right now. And if to put it in perspective, I see a org chart that's my name over a team of individuals that I have, and I see over time that some of those roles become agents that I need to continue to watch, always with a human in the loop, to say, how are they performing? Where are they getting hung up? How do I get them off of that getting hung up? And how do I continue to train them like I would any individual, but more so now this is a digital agent that I have to, take care of.
Fascinating. I did have my first outreach from an individual that's wanting voice actors to train AI so that it sounds
There
like
you
a
go.
human
That's what
this
I'm learning.
week.
That's what I'm learning. And I don't know what I'll be learning next week, Sarah.
It's unbelievable at the pace and the acceleration around this work.
I like nothing of our time. I mean, we could talk about the cell phone, we could talk about the computer, nothing like this.
It is unnerving a little bit too, but I am very excited in the end to see how it will accelerate creativity and innovation and some of the good things, allowing people to really be more of a knowledge worker and less mired by administration.
I'm excited to see AI cure our first disease.
That's
It's going to happen.
going to be exciting.
And I'm hope I'm here to see it, and I think I will be at the speed in which it's going. And so there's a lot of things like that. The first disease, helping the economy, helping climate change, weather pattern, all sorts of different things, extinction. I think that there's so
Fascinating.
much that it can do for the good. AI for good. AI for good. AI with human in the loop.
Mm-hmm. Nicole, do you have any other big goals and aspirations that you're working on?
I have, my mind is always racing. This is where I'm spending a lot of my time and passion right now. And I'm also really passionate about, just ensuring that no one's left behind. So anytime that I can get on a podcast, I'm getting on a podcast, or I'm posting on LinkedIn. And I'm, right now I'm starting to learn other mediums that I'm not as comfortable with. I'm not as comfortable with Twitter or X and Instagram. And I'm going to do my first TikTok. I'm going to do my first LinkedIn Live. I'm going to do some of those things so I can continue to spread the word, because I don't want anyone left behind. And so that's kind of where my passion is these days, is around this topic, because there's so much to know. There's so much to know.
Well, and if you are conveying the AI for good and what people can learn and do today to build those skills and habits, it will perpetuate good.
That's my goal.
Exactly. Excellent. That's a wonderful goal. So I do applaud you on the AI for good. Let's see what good we can do. Is there anything else, Nicole, that you want to share today?
I just again, some practical advice is, please dip your toe in the water, and you're going to find that the water's warm, and you're going to recognize that you want to swim in it all day. Okay. The other thing I watch out for is, understand that the large language models have learned from history, years and years and years and years of history, and that there is bias. Watch out for bias. And, if you see a bias in some of your outputs, correct the AI. Say, hey, don't ever do that again. When I ask you for a CEO, give me all of the types of CEOs that are out there. And then also ensure that you are kind of keeping, as much as you're keeping an eye, learning AI, also start to make sure that you're watching and safeguarding your data. Those are the advice that I give everyone, for practical advice around things to watch out for, that I wanted to leave your listeners with. And I'm happy to have conversations like this each and every day. You can find me on LinkedIn. And as I learn more about X and et cetera, then you're going to see me on other social mediums.
Excellent, Nicole. Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the time today that you've given me in this fascinating conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent.
AI for good.
AI for good, for sure.
Let's do it.
And so our listeners can find you on LinkedIn.
Yes, Nicole Hilgenkamp, NicoleHilgenkamp. I'm the only one out there at this time.
Excellent. And is there an email address you're willing to share?
Yeah, AI consulting, and I'm AIboration at outlook.com. AIboration at.
Excellent. And do you have a website yet?
Not yet.
Okay, you're just going with the link. LinkedIn is the way to go for sure.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for your time today, Nicole.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to today's conversation with Nicole Hilgenkamp. Here are the 3 key takeaways. First, AI belongs across the business. Don't silo AI under IT. It's cross-functional and deserves its own seat at the executive table. Building AI into all facets of your operations future-proofs your business and accelerates innovation. Second, start small and stay curious. The best way to embrace AI is to dip your toe in the water. Subscribe to a relevant AI newsletter, join a learning community, and experiment with tools like Perplexity or Microsoft's free training. Habitual everyday use is how you and your team get comfortable and stay ahead. Third, human and AI is a powerful partnership. AI is your co-pilot. Use it to enhance self-awareness, streamline processes, and uncover blind spots in your team communication, but always remember to keep a human in the loop. Ethical oversight and creativity matter more than ever. Thanks so much for listening today. As always, please share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe so you never miss an episode.